You can only hold it together for so long. The smile, the patience, the deep breaths, they all have limits. In Bluey's unicourse, everyone snaps. And strangely, beautifully, it's exactly what they need. Because if you've ever felt guilty for losing your temper, or tired of pretending to have it all together, this one's for you. You know that kind of evening. The one where you're technically off duty, but your brain's still buzzing, your body's heavy, you've been patient all day, and you've just got nothing left. That's where we find Chili, collapsed into the couch, eyes half closed, Bandits nearby, flicking through a magazine, barely present. It's bedtime, and the day isn't quite over. The kind of tired where even sitting down feels like a task. You're not recharging, you're just horizontal and hoping no one needs anything for the next 5 minutes. Then comes Bluey, lingering at the top of the stairs, just hanging there. And she asks the questions kids ask when something deeper is going on. Do you watch TV without us? Why do we have to sleep? They sound innocent, but you've probably heard some version of them before. From your kid, your partner, even yourself. They're not just stalling, they're reaching. They're little emotional sonar pings asking, am I still connected to you, even when the day ends? Chili tries. She reads the story. She stays soft. She meets Bluey where she's at, but Bluey keeps checking. Are you grumpy with me? She's not acting out. She's reading the room, and she feels something's off. Then Bandit shows up with Unicourse, and suddenly, everything tilts. If you've ever tried to keep things light, to push through bedtime with a smile when all you wanted was silence, you'll recognize what happens next. Unicourse is loud, rude, disruptive. He talks over everyone, spoils the story, mocks Chili's name, demands attention. At one point, he even brings in a lawyer. Yes, an actual puppet lawyer. Honestly, if you've never been sued by a unicorn in a bedtime dispute, have you really parented? And at first, it's funny. Until it isn't. Because he's not just a puppet, he's a proxy. And maybe you felt that too. The moment when everything grates. The joke that goes on too long. The noise you usually laugh at suddenly making your skin crawl. It's not that you're angry, it's that you're done. But you don't say it because you think you shouldn't. So you push through. You keep smiling until someone or something breaks the silence. And yes, it's messy, it's loud, but sometimes that outburst is the most honest moment of the day, because beneath the noise is the part of you that's been waiting to be heard. Unicourse is the part of us that stops pretending. He's Chili's exhaustion, blurted out. He's Bandit's overwhelmed inner monologue, unleashed. He's Bluey's confusion, echoed back with chaos. He's what happens when no one has the energy to stay composed anymore. And that's what makes him so brilliant. He doesn't whisper discomfort, he yells it. He doesn't mask tension, he performs it. And so, the story breaks. Chili shouts, Bluey begs. Bandit hides behind the couch, no longer in control. The bedtime story derails because the people telling it have quietly hit their limit. But maybe that collapse is the whole point. Because let's be honest, haven't you been there too? You thought it would be a quiet wind down, a few pages, maybe a glass of wine. Instead, you're refereeing a high-stakes showdown between a unicorn and your last nerve. Moments that you've been holding it together for too long, keeping your cool until someone pushes too far. This episode gently reminds us, even in the most loving families, everyone has a limit. And sometimes, what looks like failure, losing your temper, giving up on the story, saying I'm done, is actually a kind of freedom. Because once the truth is out, the pretending can stop. And when the pretending stops, that's when something real can begin. Every person has a limit, especially caregivers. especially at bedtime. We stretch ourselves thin, trying to do things right. We keep smiling. We read the books. We say yes when we're running on fumes. And then something small, a puppet, a spill, a tantrum, pushes us over the edge, and we snap. It feels like failure, but often it's just honesty breaking through. In Unicourse, Chili says it outright, "I'm done, Bluey," not cruelly, just truthfully. And it's that truth, not the performance of patience, that finally shifts the dynamic. Because once Chili lets go of being the perfect bedtime parent, Bluey steps in. She takes ownership. She tries to manage Unicourse herself. And while it doesn't go perfectly, it never could, it marks a moment of growth. It's a hidden message tucked in the mayhem. You don't have to hold everything together for others to learn something. In fact, letting go might be the very thing that teaches them most. Bluey wants to change Unicourse. She begs him to be nice. She bribes him with invisible chicken. She even tries to parent him. But in the end, Chili delivers the truth. You can't change Unicourse. And more importantly, I'm not sure you can change anyone very much. That's the episode's turning point, the quiet heartbreak at its center. Because whether you're dealing with a child, a partner, a co-worker, or a wild unicorn puppet, you cannot force change. Not with pleading, not with kindness, not even with chicken bucket. What you can change is how much power you give them. That's what Chili and Bluey learned to do. They stopped trying to fix Unicourse and start ignoring him. Not cruelly, but intentionally. Sometimes the best way to handle nonsense is with silence. Not out of defeat, but because you finally realized it's not your circus, not your unicorn. And honestly, if walking away means avoiding a lawsuit from a plush unicorn's attorney, even better. And miraculously, it works. They regain control, not by dominating the chaos, but by withdrawing their energy from it. That's a profound emotional truth. Sometimes, the most powerful thing we can do is not engage, to walk away from the thing that feeds on our attention, to stop trying to fix and instead protect our peace. One of the cleverest layers in Unicourse is the bedtime book itself. It's a story about a queen who tries to fix the world by covering the entire kingdom in leather so no one ever steps on a prickle again, until someone suggests a simpler, more sustainable solution. Why not just cover your feet? Shoes, a metaphor for boundaries, for self-responsibility, for recognizing that we can't control the world, only how we walk through it. The queen, in her exhaustion, was trying to change everything around her instead of making one small change within. And in the end, that shift from external control to internal resilience is what saves her. Sound familiar? It mirrors exactly what Chili and Bluey go through. They try to manage Unicourse, to shape him into what they need. But in the end, they stop. They put on their metaphorical shoes and move forward without trying to fix what won't change. It's elegant and quietly life-changing. So what do we do with an episode like Unicourse? We laugh, we wince, we recognize ourselves. Because Unicourse isn't just a puppet. He's the unfiltered noise in our lives, the disruptive energy, the person or thought that won't respect boundaries, the part of ourselves that's loud and tired and unwell. And when we finally say, enough, when we stop pretending, when we drop the performance and let the truth spill out, that's not a collapse. That's a beginning. Chili snapped and created space for honesty. Bluey failed to fix Unicourse and learned something deeper. That peace doesn't come from control. It comes from clarity. We can't always change the chaos, but we can choose how close we stand to it. We can walk away. We can put on our shoes. So maybe tonight, after the bedtime book, ask yourself, what are you still trying to fix that won't change? Where are you spending energy trying to manage the unmanageable? And when was the last time you gave yourself permission to be done? Because sometimes the most grown-up thing we can do is admit our limits. What did Unicourse show you? Did it remind you of a time you reached your own limit or tried to fix someone who just didn't want to change? Let us know in the comments. And if this helped you feel a little more seen, like and subscribe. Until next time, take care of your peace.